Your aggression isn't the problem. The problem is where you're aiming it at. Let's face it, you like the intensity. You like the adrenaline. You like feeling like a warrior when you're in a position. And every copy-paste trading psychology channel out there is telling you to meditate that away, to become a robot that doesn't feel anything, to remove the passion. That's garbage advice. Because here's what they're missing. The most consistent traders I know, they're not calm. They're focused. There's a difference. They still have that fire. They just learn to aim it at something that actually builds instead of destroys. Think about it like this. A flamethrower can burn down your house or power a forge. Same tool, different application. Your aggression in trading works the exact same way. The question isn't, how do I stop being aggressive? The question is, where am I directing this energy? Right now, if you're revenge trading, you're taking all that intensity and throwing it at the market like you're trying to punish it for taking your money. But the market doesn't care. The market isn't even aware you exist. You're basically screaming at a rainstorm for getting you wet. But what if you took that same energy and aimed it at showing up every single day, at reviewing every trade, at following your plan with the intensity of a special forces operator following mission protocol? That's aggressive consistency. And here's where it gets interesting. Aggressive consistency feels almost identical to revenge trading. Your heart rate's up. You're locked in. You're committed. The difference is one builds equity, the other destroys it. Let me show you what I mean. When you revenge trade, what's actually happening? You take a loss. That loss triggers something primal. Your ego took a hit. Your account took a hit. And your brain goes into fight mode. So you size up. You take the next setup, even though it's marginal. You need to get that money back right now. All that energy, all that focus, all that intensity. And where's it aimed? At trying to force the market to give you back what you lost. At trying to prove you were right. At trying to make the pain stop. That's like trying to fill a hole by digging faster. But watch what happens when you redirect that exact same energy. You take a loss. You feel that same intensity rise up. But instead of jumping back in, you pause for 5 seconds. Just 5. And you ask, what's my actual edge right now? Not, what trade can make me feel better? But what does my system say? And I'm not going to lie to you. Those first few times you do this, it feels wrong. It feels like you're being passive. Like you're letting the market win. Like you're not fighting back. But you are fighting. You're just fighting the right opponent. You're fighting your own impulse to break your rules. You're fighting the part of your brain that wants short-term relief over long-term results. You're fighting to protect your capital. That takes more courage than any revenge trade ever will. Here's what nobody tells you about consistency. It's not boring. It's not passive. It's not sitting there like a robot with no emotions. Consistency is a violent commitment to your process. It's saying, I'm going to follow this plan with the same intensity that I used to chase losses. It's showing up every single day with that trader's fire still burning, but now it's burning in the right direction. Think about professional athletes. They're not calm. They're not without emotion. They're intense. But their intensity is directed at preparation, at execution, at the fundamentals, not at trying to win back the last play. So how do you actually make this shift? How do you take all that aggression and redirect it? First, you need to understand what that aggression is actually trying to do. When you feel the urge to revenge trade, your brain is trying to solve a problem. The problem is, I feel bad and my account is smaller. Your brain solution. Take a big trade and fix it fast. But that's not actually solving the problem. That's like trying to fix a broken arm by punching a wall. You're just creating more problems. The real problem isn't the loss. The real problem is you don't trust your process enough yet. You don't trust that your edge will work out over time. So every loss feels like an emergency that needs immediate correction. But once you redirect your aggression toward proving your process works, everything changes. Now, when you take a loss, that intensity kicks in and says, I'm going to follow my plan perfectly for the next 50 trades and track every single one. Now your aggression has a mission. Now it has a target that actually makes sense. And this is where most traders quit. Because aggressive consistency isn't flashy. You don't get to tell stories about the time you made back a loss in one trade. You don't get those dopamine explosions. But you know what you do get? You get to keep your account. You get to keep trading. You get to actually build something. There's a moment that happens to every trader who makes this shift. It's usually a few weeks in. You take a loss. You feel that familiar fire. And for the first time, it doesn't scare you. You don't fight it. You just channel it. You say, okay, I feel this. Now what does my plan say? And you execute according to your rules. Not perfectly. You're still human. But you execute. And something weird happens. You feel more powerful than you did revenge trading. Because now you're in control. The market didn't dictate your next move. Your emotions didn't dictate your next move. Your plan did. That's when you realize aggressive consistency isn't about being less intense. It's about being more effective with your intensity. Now here's something that's going to sound backwards. The more consistent you become, the more aggressive you can actually be. Yeah, because when you're consistently following a proven process, you can actually increase your size appropriately. You can take proper risk on your best setups. You can scale up based on data, not emotion. Revenge trading? That's fake aggression. You're not actually being bold. You're being reckless. There's no courage in breaking your own rules because you're upset. Real aggression in trading looks like this. My edge says this is an A+ setup. My process says I can risk 1% here. I'm going to take this trade with conviction and hold it according to my plan, regardless of how it makes me feel moment to moment. That's focused intensity. That's controlled power. That's what separates professionals from gamblers. Let's talk about what this actually looks like in your daily routine, because this isn't just about trades. It's about everything around the trades. Aggressive consistency means you actually attack your morning routine. It means when you feel like skipping the work, that's when the aggression kicks in. Not aggressive toward the market. Aggressive toward your own complacency. And I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds exhausting. I can't be intense all the time. You're right. You can't. And you shouldn't. But here's the thing. Revenge trading is more exhausting. The emotional roller coaster of big wins and bigger losses. The constant stress of not knowing if you're about to blow up your account. The shame of breaking your rules again. That's exhausting. Aggressive consistency is focused. You're intense during market hours. You're intense during your prep and review. But then you can actually relax because you know you followed your process. You don't have regret eating at you. You don't have broken rules haunting you. The peace that comes from aggressive consistency is deeper than any peace you'll get from trying to be calm while secretly fighting yourself. Here's what changed everything for me. I stopped trying to control my feelings and started controlling my responses to my feelings. You're going to feel aggressive after a loss. That's not going away. That's human. The market just took your money. Of course you feel something intense about that, but you get to choose what you do with that feeling. You can throw it at a revenge trade, or you can channel it into ruthless adherence to your process. Same energy, different target. So when you feel that surge, and you'll feel it, try this. Take those 5 seconds I mentioned earlier. But don't use them to calm down. Use them to AM. Ask yourself, if I had to put this intensity towards something productive right now, what would it be? Maybe it's updating your journal. Maybe it's reviewing the setup you just traded to see if you missed anything. Maybe it's looking for the next rule-based setup instead of forcing one. You're not suppressing the aggression. You're redirecting it. And once you start doing this consistently, see what I did there, you start noticing something. The wins feel different. They don't feel like luck. They don't feel like you got away with something. They feel earned because you followed your process. You executed your edge. You did what you said you were going to do. That's a different kind of satisfaction than a revenge trade that happens to work out. This is why aggressive consistency is actually more motivating than the chaos of undisciplined trading. When you're all over the place, you never really know what worked. Was it the setup? Was it luck? Was it timing? But when you're aggressively consistent, you have data. You have proof. You can see your edge playing out. You can see your process working. And that creates a different kind of confidence. Not the fake confidence of, I'm going to nail this next trade. The real confidence of, I'm going to follow my plan, and over time, that plan works. Now let's talk about something that might surprise you. Aggressive consistency makes you a better discretionary trader, not a worse one. Some people think following rules makes you rigid, makes you unable to adapt. But the opposite is true. When you have a solid foundation of consistency, you can actually recognize the rare moments when discretion is appropriate. You can tell the difference between your edge saying, "This is different," and your emotions saying, "I want this to be different." But here's the catch. You can't skip to that level. You can't be inconsistent and then claim you're being discretionary. That's just undisciplined trading with a fancy name. You have to earn the right to be discretionary by first proving you can be consistent. You have to show yourself that you can follow the rules before you get to intelligently break them in rare situations. So here's how you actually build aggressive consistency, step by step. Week 1. Your only job is to follow your plan. Not to make money, not to be perfect, just to do what your plan says. If you take 3 trades and they're all losses, but they were all rule-based, that's a perfect week. Week 2, same thing. But now you're starting to notice the patterns. You're seeing that following your rules doesn't feel as wrong as it did at first. Week 3, you hit your first moment where you really want a revenge trade, but you don't. And you journal about it. You write down what you felt, what you wanted to do, and what you did instead. That moment, that journal entry, becomes your proof. It becomes evidence that you can redirect this energy. And every time you feel that urge again, you can look back and say, "I've done this before. I can do it again." You're building a track record of winning the internal battle. That's what aggressive consistency really is. It's winning the war against your own impulses, one battle at a time. And here's what's wild. After a few months of this, revenge trading starts to look boring to you. It looks like giving up. It looks like the easy way out. Because now you've experienced what it feels like to channel that intensity towards something that actually works. And that feeling is more addictive than any revenge trade ever was. This isn't about becoming someone different. This isn't about suppressing who you are. If you're naturally intense, use that. If you have fire in you, that's excellent. The market needs traders with fire. It just needs that fire aimed at the right things. Aggressive consistency is taking everything that makes you dangerous to yourself and making it dangerous to the market instead. It's the same weapon, just finally pointed in the right direction. So tomorrow when you sit down to trade and you feel that intensity rising, whether it's before a trade, during a trade, or after a loss, don't fight it. Don't try to breathe it away. Don't pretend you don't feel it. Feel it. Own it. And then ask yourself one question. Where am I aiming this? If the answer is at the market, trying to force something, you know what to do. Redirect. If the answer is at my process, following my plan with intensity, then let it rip. That's aggressive consistency. That's how you keep the warrior mentality while building the trader's account. Same energy, better target, different life. Now go prove your process works.